Hello, friends. We're back for another reading adventure with Nona's Mouse House. We've all gotten up and we've played and stretched, and we've done some dances and had some snacks. Everybody's had a chance to go potty, which is super important. Remember, guys, we have our potty right over here on the side and our sink so we can wash our hands. And after we go potty, we wash our hands and we sing the ABC song to make sure that we get all the germs off, that we wash them long enough. They're going to be right over here. We are going to read a special story about a button. But before we read the story, we're going to do a little finger and a shoulder exercise. Okay, ready? I wiggle my fingers. Wiggle your fingers. I wiggle my toes. Wiggle your toes. I wiggle my shoulders. Wiggle your shoulders. I wiggle my nose. Wiggle your nose. No more wiggles are left in me, so I can sit still as can be. Should we do it one more time? Okay, I wiggle my fingers, I wiggle my toes, I wiggle my shoulders, I wiggle my nose. No more wiggles are left in me, so I can sit still as can be. Here we are. So we're going to read a story about a button. This is a very big button. And as you guys know, sometimes there are buttons on shirts and jackets. Sometimes there are buttons on pants. Sometimes there are even buttons on purses and shoes. Buttons are very, very helpful. Sometimes the threads come loose and the button falls off. And then the way most people put that back on is with a needle and thread. Now, sometimes people do use a sewing machine, but before they had sewing machines, they definitely had to use a needle and thread or something else super sharp like a porcupine quill. We'll talk more about sewing machines in another one of our adventures, but they would take a needle and they would put thread or string through what's called the eye of the needle, and then they would take the thread up through one of the holes in the button and bring it down, and then you would pull it through whatever fabric is behind it and come up again to secure it. And then you would keep going that way and tie a knot, and your button would be secured. So somebody's going to help a character in our story with his button. This is called Corduroy, and it's by Don Freeman. Beautiful purple page. Okay. Corduroy is a bear who once lived in the toy department of a big store. Day after day, he waited with all the other animals and dolls for somebody to come along and take him home. He wanted to go to a home. The store was always filled with shoppers buying all sorts of things. But you know, no one ever seemed to want a small bear in green overalls. Then one morning, a little girl stopped and looked straight into Corduroy's bright eyes. "Oh, Mommy," she said, "look, there's the very bear I've always wanted." "Oh, not today, dear." Her mother sighed. "I've spent too much money already. Besides, he doesn't look new. He's lost the button to one of his shoulder straps." Corduroy watched them sadly as they walked away. "Oh, I didn't know I'd lost a button," he said to himself. "Tonight I'll go and see if I can find it." Late that evening, when all the shoppers had gone and the doors were shut and locked, Corduroy climbed carefully down from his shelf and began searching everywhere on the floor for his lost button. Suddenly, he felt the floor moving under him, and quite by accident, he had stepped onto an escalator, and up, up, up he went. Could this be a mountain? He wondered. Oh, I think I've always wanted to climb a mountain. He stepped off the escalator as it reached the next floor, and there, before his eyes, was a most amazing sight. Tables and chairs and lamps and sofas and rows of beds. Well, this must be a palace, Corduroy gasped. I guess I've always wanted to live in a palace. He wandered around admiring the furniture. This must be a bed, he said. Ooh, I've always wanted to sleep in a bed. And up he crawled onto a large, thick mattress. All at once he saw something small and round. Why, here's my button, he cried, and he tried to pick it up. But like all the other buttons on the mattress, it was tied down tight. He yanked and pulled with both paws until pop! Off came the button, and off the mattress Corduroy toppled, bang, into a tall floor lamp. Over it fell with a crash. Uh-oh. Corduroy didn't know it, but there was someone else awake in the store. The night watchman was going his rounds on the floor above. When he heard the crash, he came dashing down the escalator. Now, who in the world did that? He exclaimed. Somebody must be hiding around there. He flashed his light under and over sofas and beds until he came to the biggest bed of all. And there he saw two fuzzy brown ears sticking up from under the cover. Hello, he said. Hey, how did you get upstairs? The watchman tucked Corduroy under his arm and carried him down the escalator. And he set him on the shelf in the toy department with the other animals and dolls. Looks like night-night time. Corduroy was just waking up when the first customers came into the store in the morning, and there, looking at him with a wide, warm smile, was the same girl he'd seen only the day before. I'm Lisa, she said, and you're going to be my very own bear. Last night I counted what I've saved in my piggy bank, and my mother said I could bring you home. Shall I put him in a box for you? The saleslady asked. Oh, no, thank you, Lisa answered, and she carried Corduroy home in her arms. She ran all the way up 4 flights of stairs into her family's apartment and straight to her own room. Corduroy blinked. There was a chair and a chest of drawers, and alongside a girl-sized bed stood a little bed just the right size for him. The room was small and nothing like that enormous palace in the department store. This must be home, he said. I know I've always wanted a home. Lisa sat down with Corduroy on her lap, and she began to sew a button on his overalls. I like you just the way you are, she said, but you'll be more comfortable with your shoulder strap fastened. Oh, that's very thoughtful. That's very true. You must be a friend, said Corduroy. I've always wanted a friend. Me too, said Lisa, and gave him a big hug. The end. And here's a big hug from Nona. Love you so much. We'll see you soon. Bye.